What's going on, everybody? So I've been playing the Diablo 4 beta like an insane madman over the past few days, and I want to give you the top 10 tips and tricks that are going to be applied to the beta, but also when you're going into Diablo 4 for launch day. These are going to be some really fun things you're going to want to do. Maybe you know these, maybe you haven't, but if you haven't played the beta, you may not know, so let's dive into them. Now, the first tip is to prioritize the Altars of Lilith. These are massive stat bonuses, 2 permanent stats of various stats depending on what altar you pick up, and they apply to all of your characters if you're softcore, or all of your characters if you're hardcore. And now, what these look like, I have a video of this, me picking up one. Now, you only have to do this on one character again because it applies to all characters. So once you pick it up, you will get this notification, dexterity or whatever stat has been increased by 2. If you pick it up on another character, all you're going to get is the XP. Now, these are not in randomized locations. For you all here, I have a map, and I've been using this myself. I did not create this. It's this person down here, Sigford, it looks like, and I'll move my camera here so you guys can see the full map on all the different locations. There you go. Now, the second tip, similar to your Altars of Lilith, a lot of the things in the game are account bound. What that means is if you go ahead and find some sort of legendary item, if you find some sort of item that you want to use, then you can just drop it in your stash, swap over to a new other character, and then use that item. For example, here I have this aspect, and you'll note it actually says account bound. If you look here, account bound on this legendary. Some of them, do have unique bonuses for a specific class, but that doesn't mean necessarily that you cannot use that on another class. It just means that, well, you're not going to get that specific bonus. The third tip is actually to craft elixirs in the second tab from the alchemist. Now, you'll notice a lot of elixirs, honestly, it doesn't really matter which one you pick up. You can pick up the iron barb elixir. In my opinion, that's going to be the best, but all of these elixirs are going to increase your XP gain by 5. And this is basically one of the only ways you use your materials, your herbs here. This is going to basically give you a boost in XP. You're going to get to level 25 5% faster if that matters to you. The fourth tip is to buy these keys from the gambler or the purveyor of curiosities. You're going to want to have at least one of these keys in your inventory at all times in case you find a silent chest. Just so you know, the merchant is right here, and this is what the silent chests look like. They have little chains over them. When you open them, you will get loot, similar to the rates of your gambling on whatever you're gambling on. You're going to get a legendary about 1/3 of the time. It's not always, but it is a better rate. The fifth tip is the leave dungeon emote. Now, if you open your emote wheel on PC, it's going to be E. You click leave dungeon. You're actually just going to immediately leave the dungeon right outside the front. Instead of opening the map and having to teleport back to the front, this is just an easier way to teleport right outside of the dungeon. Now, the next tip is to upgrade your gear. A lot of people didn't realize, but you don't just upgrade your weapon. You can upgrade your armor pieces. You can also upgrade your jewelry, but you have to go to a jeweler as well over here and get your jewelry upgraded there. You're going to get a ton of bonuses, especially your jewelry. Do not underestimate how powerful things like maximum life thorns can be, but definitely upgrade your weapons and your armor because it is going to give you a lot of value. The seventh tip is to pick up every single quest you see. Does not matter if you plan on doing any of the quests or all of them, pick them up every single time you see them, because what ends up happening is if you pick up a quest, sometimes if you're in the open world, you can double up, or if you're going to do a dungeon, you're going to double up on finishing the dungeon and finishing the quest at the same time, and you'll end up with a lot of finished quests like I do, just by picking up the quests throughout the open world. The next tip is to not miss the world bosses when they do spawn. These things can drop 3 to 7 legendary items when you finish it off. They are quite tough fights, and oftentimes, if you don't have a coordinated group or just enough people, you might fail. But if you're in game, you'll notice when you open your map, the boss, or at least the Ashava boss, will spawn in the bottom right hand corner of the map. And more importantly, the game will actually give you a notification telling you to go to that area 30 minutes before the boss spawns. So keep an eye out for that. And the last 2 tips I have for you are kind of a combo tip, which are extracting aspects and just use the best gear. So when you're going through the game, you'll find that you get a lot of legendary items. And in fact, I've actually dropped quite a few more legendary items. I just have them in my stash. Why is that? Because the rare items are oftentimes better. And what you can do is you can extract the aspects of these legendary items if you wish to do so. That way you can apply those legendary aspects to whatever item you want. So if you have a legendary aspect that works with your build, don't be afraid to go ahead and extract that legendary and apply it to a rare item, which will turn it into a legendary item, because the rare items can actually roll better than your legendary items oftentimes. Now that's going to wrap up all the tips and tricks I have for you today. There's a lot more to talk about, and I probably will have way more videos, especially a lot of builds coming out over the next few days, especially with the open beta coming back in the next couple days as well. If you enjoyed the video, or if you found any of these tips helpful, be sure to leave a like, sub to the channel, and I'll see you tomorrow for another Diablo 4 video.